Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to more Last Minute Kickout. I am, as always, Pete Titans Grid Nethercoat, joined by the one and only John Turbo Finley, and as always, our third co-host, cohort, one Mr. Kevin, the Kevin Eva.
He's the third man!
Indeed. This week, we are Team BAD, Bearded and Dangerous.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
And yes, and as promised in our Survivor Series episode, we are talking about WarGames, the NXT show that happened on WWE Weekend. Pro tip, I have never seen an NXT pay-per-view before. This is really my only first NXT show I've only ever seen. So I'm essentially jumping in on the deep end, but spoilers, it was a good one. I liked it. General feelings, you guys, before we break it down?
For myself, I've always been a fan of watching the NXT TakeOver shows. Been a great fan of the products since 2015, essentially. So, still not a OG kind of person watching the product, but still, long enough knowing who's been there and who's accomplished what. Overall experience on this TakeOver show, WarGames, it was definitely a really good TakeOver. Probably not in the same caliber as other TakeOvers prior to that. See, for example, the first NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Right.
But it was, in general, a very good show.
When he says see NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, no, really, see NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Oh my goodness, that show.
Was that the one with the Iron Woman match?
No, that was the first title match between Bayley and Sasha while Sasha was champion. And yes, that was the match of the night for that show. So definitely watch that.
And the rest of the card was no slouch either.
No. Yeah, the ladder match with Kevin Owens and Finn Balor as well, which was even good.
Lots of cool stuff in that.
I mean, you say that. I mean, the only real match I was disappointed with was the first one of the televised show. But before I get into that, I do want to say, fuck me, WWE, do more 30-minute kickoff shows so I'm not bored before the actual main event. For God's sake. NXT does it right. Fucking hell.
Yeah, They actually do put these kind of NXT kickoff shows as pretty much the filler preview. You guys remember on Sky Box Office where they would always have that kind of 15-20 minute kind of preview leading up to the live event that's on loop constantly if you to kind of sell you the pay-per-view,
I believe it was called Sunday Night Heat. as I recall.
Not that. It wasn't that. No, it was you would have Todd Grisham or some lower card kind of commentator interview person, or Michael Cole or Coachman or whatever, talking about the card in a WWE studio and whatnot, and being like that. That's essentially what these kickoff shows for NXT are like. They basically have the analyst panel, and they're talking about the matches, nothing more.
Yeah, well, that's what it should be. A 30-minute hype package for your pay-per-view. Yeah. Not an hour-long hype package with a match or two thrown in. I enjoyed it. There was no ridiculous, stupid promo that you would have missed. It was literally just talk about this match, thoughts, talk about this match, thoughts, talk about this match, thoughts, all the big points. And it's just cool. Not so much bothered about that crappy analysis panel with Booker T, who's just mental. But it does the job. 30 minutes is way more for an attention span for something that's meant to be engaging for a big package. And I think, after watching that, that's what I want. I don't need an hour, or in the Big Four case, 2-hour kickoff shows. So yeah, I enjoyed it. The kickoff, it was like much more of a bite-sized, digestible thing. We move on to the first match, which was Lars Sullivan and Cassius Ono. From what I establish, Ono is like a brawler type guy, but Lars Sullivan is just winning matches really quickly and like in a dominating fashion. And this was like a rematch of the two. Or something.
Yeah. Well, it's like the feud between these two was kind of like boiling over a series of taped NXT shows.
Right.
And Lars Sutherland has been like this dominant force, like most big heel kind of like characters tend to be like when they're introduced, like before taking on the original KO. Yeah. He took out No Way Jose, who is another popular character in the NXT brand, although granted he hasn't been around for a while, so question on that, what his status is up in the air. He's been taking out like jobbers and stuff like that. He's been like the Rusev of the he's been like Rusev. He's been like I'm thinking Braun Strowman. I mean, it's like those kind of like archetypes of this dominant, brutal force that cannot stay down.
Okay, so as someone who watches NXT, I would say as much as they watch the rest of the WWE shows, how strong? Like, explain it to me, who's not watched an NXT show before. How strong have they booked this Lars Sullivan guy in comparison to say how the booking for Braun has been?
Almost the same, because when Braun was kind of like going on his own, he was just squashing jobbers left and right.
Right.
And it's pretty much the same case with Lars.
So the only real difference in the cases is that they put Braun against someone who gets booed, so Braun got over, and there's no one to that kind of caliber on NXT because the NXT crowd is a lot smaller, and they're who they want to cheer for is very much concentrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like with Lars, he is the heel in this thing, whilst with Braun right now, he's going up against people that are not liked by the audience, so
Right.
he's getting some he's becoming more of a face or a tweener. But no, Lars is proper full-on heel on this brand. He's not supposed to be like he's this monster who is destroying your favorites, a la Cassius Ono, who is a fan favorite with many of the NXT and indie kind of like scene people like.
Right.
So
For the benefit of you guys, Discord, my camera's flicking like crazy, and
right.
I know for a fact that's going to annoy you guys who are watching this. So I've sort of turned it off of the Discord, and I've just put the webcam over roughly where I am
so
normally.
okay.
So you guys can't see me, but it's still recording, but the actual webcam now. And confusing because Discord. You can't see me. You can't see me because Discord doesn't like my camera for some reason.
Go get yourself a bowl of Fruity Pebbles then, and just indulge on that.
I am wearing multiple coloured T-shirts.
I just hope there's just like, if you couldn't get it to work on the main video, there's just a picture of like your LMC logo or Kevin, and there's just like a dummy hand that's just going like this across the screen very slowly.
Well, as of the last episode, recording the Discord. It also records the deafen symbol in the corner, the little headphones. So I put.
Oh, so that's why you put the.
That's why the packs were over the pack Pete and the pack Turbo were actually skillfully covering those. But yes, that's why those things were happening. But, so yes, these guys can't see me anymore, so they can't see what I'm doing at the minute. For instance,
Wearing it, it's fine. We'll have to watch the show to find out.
Yeah.
Kevin, are you a man that watches NXT?
I am sort of between both of you guys in that I watch NXT occasionally. I take in the odd pay-per-view, the odd takeover event when I have the opportunity to do so. So I'm more aware than you are, Pete, as to what's going on and who the various characters are.
Right.
At the same time, I'm not Turbo's level of understanding where the various characters are and where they're coming from. So I'm sort of in both camps.
So basically, we have Pete here, Kevin here, me up here.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. But so what we're saying is that Turbo's currently a Universal Champion. I am roughly around the US title, and Pete is Pete's
European.
No, Pete's currently. No, Pete's currently a jobber fodder for the X Division title over at TNA Impact.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But on the plus,
he gets to work with AJ Styles.
I don't watch TNA either.
That's okay. No, because quite a lot of people who did watch it now can't because there's a thing going on with the Discovery earlier.
Anyway, what were your initial? I'm not sure if I interrupted you, John, but what were your initial thoughts? Like, is it a good storyline, good match?
It was definitely an okay match. It was definitely. I mean, I've got a couple of notes here. It was very hard hitting, as it would be, because Cassius Ohno is built as the knockout artist and whatnot, because he was originally the first KO that was brought into NXT to, be that, that KO character and whatnot before Kevin Owens came on board, and he became, that kind of like persona as such. But of course, Kevin Owens KO is the heel version, whilst Cassius Ohno KO is more of the good guy, babyface and whatnot. But no, it was very hard hitting from both sides. Obviously, Lars showing that he will not go down so easily with the multiple kind of like forearm strikes that Ono was just wailing in at times. There was tons of shots. I think I counted about 5 or 6 really good kind of like elbow shots from Ono that really laid into Lars. But no, there was a couple of good spots from Lars Sullivan as well, like a pop-up power slam that he performed was brilliantly executed. And he's really good at those kind of like pop-up kind of like maneuvers. He really knows how to kind of like really pull them off quite well with his opponents. And of course that leads to his finisher, which I think they call it the freak accident, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is another kind of like pop-up move that is just really impressive. I don't think there's really been that many. I mean, you have Braun Strowman, who does a pop-up. He does a power slam, but it's like it's like a regular power slam. He just but Lars, he actually shows his strength and doing a full-on pop-up kind of like move and landing with one-arm force and whatnot. So Lars is definitely showing some decent ability.
Right.
He's still a little green. He's still a little. He's not like most big guys in WWE. They're just not that there. Yeah, and
Right.
it's like they're big and strong, but of course they have very limited kind of like ability. But with Lars, he does have the capability of being possibly like a Cesaro, where Cesaro is a big guy and he can do some of these cool maneuvers and whatnot. And he's also got he's got freakish strength. But Lars, obviously, he's got the build. He's someone that Vince McMahon would love to have right now. It's I'll just say that much. But yeah, that's essentially what it is like. So, but of course, yeah.
It was an interesting match. I was kind of into it, kind of not. The thing that put me off was that it was it very much seemed to be that there's like Sullivan's gimmick was okay. It just doesn't sell. Does it? Because he won't put me down, but it's like, yeah, he's just not selling. That's the entire thing. It's just not sell at all. Right. And as a result of that, I was like, sort of like, oh yeah, okay, I can see what you're doing here. I can see what you're doing here. Please stop doing it. No, you're still doing it. Oh God, please stop doing it. They need to, right. So first thing on the actually, before we even get into this, speaking of Vince, how much teeth grinding must there have been for the opening promo, because you had to have WCW footage in it. There is no way out of having WCW footage in this, and somebody had to sign off on that.
Well, they were taking their concept.
Yeah.
It's one of the benefits of owning the competition.
Of owning everything in the world, more or less. So, I honestly think I need to change Sullivan's look, because the first note I've actually written, this is about the match, is Sullivan looks like the long-lost Third Ascension member. And
see, I got more of a Vladimir Putov feel from him when I first saw him.
A Kozlov did by the
Kozlov.
Yeah, I also got that actually. It's like a halfway house between the two of them. It was very hard hitting match indeed. But I could see the story they were trying to tell, and that Ono was really sort of flummoxed almost by what exactly was he supposed to do to keep this guy down. But at the same time, it was it wasn't like he was doing like the Undertaker sit up, except he was just going, you can't get me, At one point, I swear to goodness, at one point, when Ono kept carrying on, he just went, "How dare you!" And it just cracked me up. It's like, "How dare you!" Usual great stuff from Ono as usual. I'm always astounded when he hits that kip up for such a big guy. With the spin round the ropes, he spin over the top rope onto the apron, which he did. There was a diving headbutt from... Well, it was called a diving headbutt. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a splash, but it was called a diving headbutt. If it is a diving headbutt, please don't do that.
Concussions.
Yes, we stay away from that move now, and I think it's not one that's... It's one of these ones that, I think wrestling can get away.
No matter how thick your head is, don't do it.
Don't do that. And especially at his age, he's young in his career, somebody should be telling him no on that one if it is. There was a lovely moment in between all those ahs. I have a little personal list of most satisfying times that somebody's been punched in wrestling. This potentially made the list because Sullivan was just going and there was this, and he just happened to open his mouth. So, and at that moment, Ono just socks him right in the teeth, and it was just far too satisfying on that. Also, there was a moment where he actually finally gets Sullivan down. He just starts stomping on him, and then he's like, "Hey, this works." So he just started stomping on his head more and more, and more and more, and hey, he's not getting up. Stop! There was some really nice bits. Also, Ono actually had to do a slight adjustment on the finisher. I don't know if anybody saw that. It wasn't on it was not on the first pickup, because he did sort of because Sullivan picks him up initially and holds him, and then sort of sets him down, and then hits the freak. Was it the freak accident? Did you say it was called?
Freak accident, yeah.
Yeah, the freak accident. On the way up, it was Ono was actually overbalancing, because obviously he's a big guy, and there was sort of a danger of him actually basically going straight over and head first down. And as he sort of hits horizontal, he actually changes his body position on the fly, pretty much in midair, and prevents himself from getting dumped on his own head. So that was good. It did what it needed to do, and I can see what they're going with, and it's going to be another one of these unstoppable characters. And one day the guy will probably retire Brock. Frankly, he'll be that guy who comes through, and he'll be the guy who replaces the other monster. But it was a solid opener. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, well,
I'm just going to say that probably because I'm jumping into this with no investment in the storyline or the characters, I didn't think this was a very good opener for someone that's unused to NXT. It felt like a piss break match at the beginning of the opening curtain. Is what it felt to me. Again, this is coming from someone with no investment in characters and didn't know the storyline, even though the commentary team fucking hammered it into you all throughout the odd 8 to 10 minutes of what this match was. If it was even that. John, you got a time for me? How long was that first match?
Actually, I didn't take the time this time around. I kind of stopped doing that. I think it was about.
It was about 10 minutes.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was under the 10-minute mark at least. Yeah.
I think what they should have done with this Lars character, instead of trying to make him be, well, having the unstoppable beast was probably a good thing to do for a character. It seems to be popular. I think they're trying to build off the basis of having Braun Strowman being as popular as he is and trying to make another one of that. They probably should have done a little twist on it and do what they did with, I can't remember how long ago it was. I think it was like 2004, 2005, where it was just like, how quickly can this guy beat someone?
Yeah, it feels like a backup beast.
Yeah,
plan, doesn't it? It's
eventually, like, I don't think Lars will hit the main, like, I can't say main roster because I still think I was going to say he will be years off. He's years off.
Yeah, he's still got a lot of time in NXT to kind of like work on his performance and whatnot.
He'll be the kind of guy that will just waltz onto a stage when Braun Strowman is at a decent title reign, like probably his second or third title reign, you know, when he'll actually be comfortable, and he'll be like, no one can beat me. Like he'll have a lengthy reign. And he'll be like, no one can beat me, and then this guy will turn up and he'll just beat him in like some sort of non-title match just to make an impact on the roster. That's what I can see that'll happen with that. I think you guys are pretty much spot on. Any last minute word, John, before we move on?
No. Let's move on to the next. Before we do that, you did talk about commentary. I totally forgot about things. Can I just say that NXT has a really good commentary team?
It does.
It's alright. Yeah, it's pretty decent. Mauro filling the microphone with a mouthful of moves and words that I barely hear is something I haven't heard for a while, but it's refreshing. I'll say that.
That's why he was so. He was when he was on SmackDown. He made SmackDown must-see TV at times, and of course
absolutely.
for his pay-per-view kind of like appearances as well was even just as good. So having him here in NXT,
the problem with the SmackDown commentary team was not Mauro, though. It never was Mauro.
It never was.
And it's because the commentary team, and we're just gonna. It feels like we're starting to bash the commentary teams every week now. It's well deserved.
If they were good, we wouldn't have to.
Well, I think the best way to talk about it after watching this is that the NXT commentary team feels enthused about what they're talking about.
Yeah, because you got particularly Mauro Ranallo as this obviously, fan of the product and so much experience in so many other kind of like sporting events beforehand, and has a way of kind of like being energetic when commentating on matches and whatnot. Not this forced, fake kind of like excitability that has been injected into commentary in the last decade. Nigel McGuinness, a veteran kind of veteran wrestler of the UK scene and Ring of Honor's color commentator. I think he was color commentator for Ring of Honor. With again, good knowledge. He is pretty much like Corey Graves. Essentially, he has great knowledge and great comebacks for supporting the different kind of like heels and heels and faces, and especially the heels. And then you have what's his face? It's like,
Percy Watson.
He's the third wheel. Percy Watson. Yes, thank you, Kevin. Again, he acts like the third wheel that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, but he doesn't act like a comedic third wheel.
Yeah, he doesn't act like Byron Saxton, and he doesn't act like Booker T. To a certain degree, depending on who's performing in the ring. Like if he sees the Street Profits being in the ring, then yeah. But support and all that. But bottom line, we can definitely agree that NXT's commentary team thus far is really good and really helps with building these kind of like matches and making them matter.
They're not yelling over each other. They're not in competition with each other. They are all working together to tell the story that is in the ring and the story outside of the ring that got them in the ring. And each has their own capabilities in terms of calling the moves and recognizing the moves and highlighting the elements of the story. You talking about Nigel.
Yeah.
A good example is actually the ladies four-way for the championship,
which we'll get to.
But I'll mention it now. And what I love about McGuinness on commentary is that he asks the questions that you, as the viewer, would ask, and he actually points out the fallacies of things. So there was a couple of moments in that match specifically, and just because I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's relevant, where people were doing things in the ring, and he says, "Yeah, that's great, except surely she's left herself open to this." And then, funnily enough, that happens, But it's the things that you would say and go and point out.
So what you're saying is essentially watching the program on the cameras in front of him and calling it as a viewer would.
He's actually pointing out the mistakes in the judgment calls from the wrestlers, not the mistakes that this is a botch, the logical mistakes. As a competitor, it's like, no, why have you gone for this person? You hit them. You actually hit the move on the other person. They're not going to stay. They're not going to stay down. Go for the other one. Oh, damn it! You've messed it up. It's just really good, and there's a lot of history there as well, in terms of what he provides. So it's all different. It's different eras, different styles all together, and it meshes and merges really well.
Yeah. That brings us on to Alistair Black or Alistair Black?
Alistair Black.
Alistair Black versus the Velveteen Dream. Now, going into this, I saw that there'd been a lot of Twitter hype around this match, and I obviously knew who Alistair Black was because he's been on SmackDown. So I knew of him going into this match. The promo package for this was pretty good. Explained the story going into it very, very well. I thought the match was very, very good. Yeah, I think the only thing that's been off-putting, unfortunately, other than the first match, which was unfortunately very quick and very fast and no investment, but this one with no investment other than knowing one character, the story felt good, like someone's trying to face somebody else to get recognition. That feels like a very good story to tell in today's environment. I was invested in that off the back of the promo package, watched the match, and it was a very good match and everything else, especially the post-match promo, as it was. It's very, very good. John?
Well, it's good that you were able to see that, because that is what I thought would happen when you saw this match, because this is probably, if not second to the main event, the match of the night in terms of storytelling, ring psychology, and overall performance. It was a really good, well-told match through and through, with mind games aplenty and many kind of like twists and turns between the two characters, and how they're kind of like going at each other and whatnot. For one to silence this flamboyant kind of like character, and the other one trying to find recognition from this silent kind of like enigma, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, going into the match itself, there was so much going on. It's like, obviously, when when Velveteen Dream came out and he had the airbrushed tights with Aleister Black on one leg and himself on another, instant thing popped in my head. Rick Rude. He is a modern day Rick Rude right there, with the same kind of like attitude and whatnot, and that was perfect. It definitely got a lot of pop from the crowd, and it got a small pop from me, because I've been looking back at a couple of old kind of like WWF kind of like matches, and Rick Rude was definitely one.
Why have you been watching videos of the Zoo?
It's like, or WWFE or whatever. But no, going in, obviously Aleister Black was obviously being the controlling kind of like character. He was in control for majority of the match with very nasty kind of like armburst. Now, prior to this match, Aleister Black was having some problems with his matches. He wasn't. He was having so many problems in his matches against certain people, whether it be Hideo Itami or Cien Almas. He had those problems with those guys. He had like certain issues while going through the match, whether it be small botches here and there, or like a big notable one here and there. But in this match with Velveteen Dream, this is his best worked match since starting his NXT career.
Right.
And it definitely proved that it was the right time at the right event, right there, that the stars aligned for Aleister Black, and it worked out wonders for him.
So,
in my personal opinion,
I mean, is it due to how much of a newbie Velveteen is in comparison?
No. Well, it's like with Velveteen Dream. A little backstory with Velveteen Dream. He's actually a former Tough Enough contestant from from the last one that came back. He was Patrick Clark. Patrick Clark. And he had some little bit of indie experience before going into Tough Enough, and after that Tough Enough, after his elimination from the competition, he obviously went back to the indies, keep going as he would. But no, WWE saw potential in him and brought him into NXT, and he's probably the most. He has been. One of the more successful stories of the Tough Enough program so far, because he did have some charisma, he did have some talent, and now he has this character. He has this character that it's the same as other kind of like characters before him, but it's in this modern era that it's working for him. It works for him, and it definitely showed with him in this storyline with Aleister Black. There wasn't really much. There hasn't been much of Velveteen Dream, aka Patrick Clark, on TV in matches to showcase his ability, but this was the match that did, and kind of evident with some of the things. Like I said, mind games aplenty was in this match. Like the different spots between Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream, both copying their own kind of like poses with the sit downs and the forward kind of like like planking, I'll say, or something, I don't know. But yeah, the crowd obviously getting behind it. They want, Velvet, Aleister Black to say his name because they're enjoying this character. They love this angle and whatnot. And basically one of my jokes for this was Velveteen Dream has become Jaggy from Fist of the North Star. LOL. So I totally love that. Great spots from Aleister Black. Springboard moonsault for a 2 count, which was really good. Velveteen Dream does a Death Valley driver. Wow. I didn't really think that Death Valley drivers were actually alright to do, but this isn't the first time those would be used in this show. What is it? Also, Velveteen Dream did a beautiful swinging DDT for a 2 count. That was really good. Also, Velveteen Dream has, I think it's an elbow drop called the Purple Rainmaker, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's really good. That's really good because it's all part of his character and whatnot. Aleister Black. Oh, excuse me. Aleister Black. Great with his strikes, with his roundhouse kicks, and of course being able to finish off the match with Black Mass, the Black Mass kick. And then, like you said, Pete, that promo at the end where everybody wins. Aleister Black gets the pinfall win, but he also acknowledges Velveteen Dream, and the crowd just eat that up. It was absolutely amazing. So yeah, definitely a match anyone should go watch for a great storytelling match, a great beginning, middle, and end, especially from promo to end promo. It's a really good match.
Kev?
Match of the night for me.
I'd agree with that.
It was the match I was most looking forward to because I had heard so much about both characters, and I thought they'd be very good together, and I'm very pleased to say they certainly were. 10 years age in difference between the two of them. Aleister Black's actually our age. He's 32. Velveteen Dream's only 22.
Man,
lots of upside for this kid in the future. Only his 3rd year in the business as well.
Yes.
They mentioned a couple of times. Lots going on. The way that match turned out in terms of and the potential rivalry that these two could do, these two could make each other. I honestly think if they had a long enough program that got behind it and they had got going, they could take this out of NXT, they could take it up to the main roster, and they could just keep this thing going. It was very good indeed. So if anyone has not seen Velveteen Dream, okay, before. So the best way I can describe Velveteen Dream is that he is Rick Rude and Jay Lethal's son, who's been raised by Goldust. He's quite the character. He could end up being the next Rock, honestly. He's that kind of guy if he gets his
Are you saying
promos.
he's that charismatic?
Yeah.
I think he still needs to find out how to work the crowd properly.
Oh yeah, if he clicks that, ooh boy, monies. I love Aleister Black's intro, the rise from the grave thing that he does, the rise from shadows up like a dead person. That was really cool. Actually, the one thing that I noticed first off actually was that it was the first match that really emphasised that it was actually lit really badly, the arena, thanks to the cage. If you look at it, it looked kind of dark and kind of dismal.
It's part of my disagreement with the whole pay-per-view is that the non-main event match has been mildly ruined because the camera angles have been done in by the double ring. I would have been rather interested to see them pull off a lot of moves like in these matches that would use the double ring, but I think they got restricted due to not having to do that because of
absolutely
A, the metal bar in the middle, and B, ruin the main event. So it's a shame, but I think it would have been a bit more dynamic over the course for all the matches to be able to do that, especially the women's match, for example.
Yeah, but it did sort of like hit home with that match, actually, just how compromised the lighting setup was in general as a result. But like lots going on. Main focus from Alistair being on the arms, and we had a number of super deep arm drags that were really beautiful things to watch. It looked like he was literally trying to rip his arms out of their sockets. Which is always nice to see when it's like, okay, there's determination there and then there's force going on. Nigel McGuinness with a Johnny Saint shout out for some goddamn reason. World of sport, baby. But yeah, it lots of really nice psychology on that, which all led into this very nice like octopus style crucifix submission that looked pretty sick. We had, as was saying, the standoff / sit off with the with the mannerisms and things like that. What was great on that actually was not so much the fact there was the mirroring, the facial expressions, and Velveteen Dream when he was face to face with Alistair doing Velveteen's own sort of quite provocative sort of in your face move. It was like the shock on his face was amazing. The crowd are really into it as a result. We did have a rude awakening, which was called as a rude awakening, which I was very pleased to see. Then we had a weird part with I don't know, like a reverse chin lock, and he was holding under his mouth and covering his mouth at the same time. Velveteen Drew was going, "Say my name," and it's like he couldn't if he wanted to. You're preventing him from speaking.
I was just like, it's like the same as an I Quit match when they've got like the thing in their mouth, and I'm like, "Say I quit."
Nothing he could have done. The leg sweep Alistair Black does. Nobody does leg sweeps, and it's a really nice move that people should use in wrestling a bit more. And it looked really effective, because we just don't see it. The Death Valley Driver with a cartwheel looks awesome. Looks awesome. The fact that Velveteen Dream was looks like he half kills himself doing it, and he doesn't in the slightest, but it looks like it takes so much out of him to do it that it must be the end of the match. There was a little, which could have been quite nasty actually, moment where after the first Death Valley Driver with cartwheel failed, then Velveteen Dream took Alistair Black up into the corner, and with the tease of doing like a super Death Valley Driver with I don't know, double cartwheel, treble cartwheel, full on gymnastics display. It could have been any of them, but as the Black sort of slipped out, and in his sort of slipping out from underneath, he got his leg caught up on the top rope, and almost did himself a mischief, and he had to sort of correct himself. I have no idea what kind of DDT Velveteen Dream used on Alistair Black.
Was that the wraparound? And
Yeah.
Then,
What?
Yeah.
What happens there?
It looks interesting. It looks like it's some sort of suplex DDT.
I was looking at it afterwards, and I'm just trying to figure out what actually happened here. What process of moves ends up with this situation? It's like, well, he's down, but I'm saying
it's like it's similar somewhere between a hip toss and a suplex, because he's grabbing him. He's like putting all the pressure with like the top on his top body to move his arms, but then a lot of it seems to be carrying him over.
It seems to be a half dozen moves that ends up in a DDT, all smooshed together. But I just couldn't fathom how it happened. It was like I could see the start of it and the finish of it, and it's like something happened in the middle.
Does it have a name? Like, do they call it?
No,
anything?
they didn't call it anything. Even the commentary team went, "What was that?"
The Velveteen Nightmare.
Oh. The Velveteen Scream.
Give this guy a job of calling these spots right now. He's like,
cool. Yeah, I'll be the next Marinero. That was Velveteen Nightmare.
So
we'll work it on post.
There was that, and again we had another instance of great comedic timing, with the end coming with Velveteen Dream half screaming his name, Velveteen Dream, and then he was just murdered.
Yeah, Black Mass.
He was just murdered by the Black Mass. One other note: Velveteen Dream needs to practice. This sounds bad. Velveteen Dream needs to practice tying himself up.
Yeah.
The into the rope spot was, I mean, Andre was a master at it, but that was like I've sort of done it. I'm not quite sure. Am I, ref? Yeah, it was a bit of a mess. Speaking of the ref. Oh, Drakenwurz, the most orange man in the world, dude. Dude, seriously, I know you're a legitimate former wrestler, hardcore, your body's scarred to fuck. You do not need this much spray tan. You look like an advert for Ronsil. Please stop doing whatever it is you're spraying on yourself. You looked bloody ill. Okay? And it was for the entirety of the pay-per-view. Mr. Wirtz, stop. Use a tanning bed if you're going to do it. Seriously. Seriously. Trump-esque in his orangeness. But yeah, superb match.
It was very good. I didn't like the ending. If compared to how the rest of the match felt, the ending felt a bit drab. Like you very clearly, plainly saw it coming. Like it felt like it almost marred the rest of the match for me. Like he got accidentally tied up. That didn't help it any wonders. But then, for the ref to go, you stay there, he gets kicked in the head. Oh, I told you to stay there. And then he just pins him. I'm like, kind of ruined it. I think it had going into it a lot of we know who's going to win this match kind of thing. Like, it was always going to be the guy with 13 years experience over the 3-year newbie type thing.
Yeah, he's still got a bit of way to go in terms of that, and his victory was out of losing with the story. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say that. But bringing on to another match, which was forecast very clearly for what winner it was going to be. Let's move on to the Women's Championship match.
Before we do, we had a nice cut to the crowd of WWE superstars who were watching in attendance.
Yes.
We had Asuka, and we had your good friend Finn Balor, Turbo.
Yes.
And in the middle,
SmackDown #1 announcer.
in the middle, Cardigan, Number one. just seeing Funaki with his nice grey cardi on.
Probably it's the style.
I know,
he likes the style.
Maybe he's cold, bless him. But it was just so funny. Just Oscar in this beautiful dress and Finn looking like Finn, and then just like old man Funaki in the middle, wondering. He's wandered in from next door, wondering why all these young people are making this noise. It was just really funny. But yes, this one telegraphed from a mile off. But whatever.
So I knew going into this the vacancy that it was a vacated championship, obviously due to Asuka after the last takeover. What I don't understand is because they were clearly, obviously, Ember was going to get it if Asuka was still there. Like that's what I understood. Like they'd had so many matches, Ember had kept pushing, and Ember each time was getting closer. So Ember would obviously have taken off the next one, beaten Asuka, and then Asuka would have gone into Raw / SmackDown whenever, you know, not undefeated because now they've pigeonholed themselves into an issue on the main roster. So with that being said, why in the bloody fuck didn't they just give Ember Moon, not give her the title, but give her a match and like do like this fatal 4-way on an episode of NXT, and then have the multi-man match as the defense where she could have retained it, and I think it would have been much better storytelling. Being like, okay, Ember Moon can't beat Asuka, but Ember Moon, you know, has still beaten somebody else for the championship, holds it, but now she has all these challengers saying, you know, like, everybody should have their chance, and my PC's going mental over there. I'm not sure if you can hear that. It's just decided to wear itself into a frenzy. I think going into it should have been a defense rather than an open championship. That's my biggest gripe with this match. I think the storytelling could have been a bit better, even though it was like hastily tried to put together in the wake of Asuka leaving / injury / everything else. But that's just me, and they obviously have a different way of telling stories where it's all pre-recorded. Correct? It's just an opinion.
Yeah, I think I can understand why they've done it like that, especially as they've kind of in that they're using that they've used that situation to try and establish the 4 names within the roster that's still staying, especially as we've lost 5 of them. 5 of NXT's women to the main roster. So I can understand why they've chosen to do that, but I do see your point with that entirely.
I just think it would have been... you could have still have essentially had the same storytelling. Like the first episode back off on NXT, you have a match with Ember Moon versus anyone for the title. Like whoever would have been next on the chain. Ember Moon easily wins, captures the belt, and then you have the other 3 women that are in the match go for the contention of the title, saying like, you know, you claim you're women's champion, you've only beaten this person, you need to beat up me. They all stake a claim. They all get to the point of then each episode of NXT you still do the thing where all the women fight against each other, you know, while Ember's there saying, well, you know, Ember does the whole sit at ringside and goes like, well, this woman, yeah, she's got this thing, it'd be interesting to face her, you know, and then all of a sudden you have everything that leads to a fatal 4-way, and then okay, I'd be more interested in the match rather than like everybody has a stake and I don't know who everybody is, because the storytelling's different when everybody's gunning for one person rather than when everybody's trying to fight for an open belt. The story changes. So again, I know who Ember Moon is. The rest, well, no. So I know who Nikki Cross is because she's been on some of the British wrestling stuff before going to NXT. So I knew of her. Otherwise, like the other 2. Again, it was an all right match, some decent spots for me, but I felt it was very marred in the story and how they tried to tell it. But otherwise, yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it. Big old shrug of the shoulders for me on this one.
Oh well, you can't win them all. Personally, I didn't matter the whole the whole debacle. Well, granted, I mean, yeah, I had a little niggle of, yeah, it's like Ember Moon should have won it the last time and whatnot, and to make Asuka, retire out of NXT, defeated and whatnot, and then she comes out, and then they wouldn't do it. But they have a plan for Asuka, and they're gonna go with it. So, sod's law. But no, for the match, for the Fatal 4-Way itself, I'm focusing on just the Fatal 4-Way as a match right now, and during this progress, or during this program, and I actually thought this was actually really good. I mean, we've had prior Fatal 4-Ways with the women's division in NXT before, and I think this is maybe the best one that they've had. I think they've had another one with sugar. I can't remember. I think it was Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and I think Bailey.
Well, they had the four horsewomen in a match.
Yeah, I think they had the 4 horsewomen in a match at a takeover special event that was, on at Full Sail, and that was a really good match. But this was almost to that, in my opinion. This was almost to that caliber, almost. But a couple of things before. One thing I want to do before the match actually starts. I don't know if this counts as a botch or if this is part of Nikki Cross's entrance, but the cameraman falling over when Nikki Cross is on the apron doing her pose and whatnot, and all I see is the camera go, whoa, I'm backwards. I don't know if that was planned, but if not, that has to make it a botchamania, because that's the same kind of like caliber of camera work as seen in what was that WCW pay-per-view? It was a match between Kevin Sutherland and Mr. T, and the cameraman's obviously going back, and he trips up on the ring steps, which was at the time in the middle of, on the apron in the middle of the ring rather than on the corners and whatnot, and he trips up, and he's like still, the camera's still in, being in view, and it's still in action and whatnot. So I can't remember which paper. I think it was Starcade 94, I think it was, because I saw the review for it on an OSW review. It was hilarious.
While you're talking about Nikki Cross's entrance, I had this mental thought of like the 2 middle ropes not being there, and as she's just running between each one just to really crowd. Just without the middle ones, are just running all the way across 2 rings worth, just like a.
Oh,
that was just a mind image I just had there. That I was amused by.
It would have been fun. But yeah, going into the match itself, really good spots from a lot of the women there. Ember Moon doing a good head scissors move onto Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce. I mean, granted, I'm not big on Peyton Royce. I don't really see the appeal in her. Though apparently she's a really good wrestler. I'm not seeing it that well, but at times she was pulling off quite well. And with her not having her backup of her friend, I've forgotten her name, Sugar.
Why wasn't she at ringside?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense because it was no DQ.
Yeah.
Her friend could have easily come back into the match and messed with it, but I guess it was like a case of like, morals, I suppose.
No, there was probably something we missed where Regal said something.
Maybe.
I'm guessing.
Who knows?
But yeah.
But moving on to a couple of other spots. What was it? Ember Moon hitting Kairi Sane and Peyton Royce with a suicide dive to the outside. Then Ember Moon does a a vicious powerbomb to Nikki Cross on the outside. I thought Nikki Cross was out of it, like legitimately out of it, but no, she was only the move to take her out of the match for the majority of the match, which
that was a big old funk, and everybody in that arena went, "Oh,
oh yeah, definitely." Peyton Royce does a rope assisted submission to Kairi Sane, which was almost kind of like Tajiri like almost. It's not Tarantula levels of submission, but yeah. A great triple power triple spot with Ember Moon, Kairi Sane, and Peyton Royce with a powerbomb suplex. Peyton Royce getting 2 counts on both of the other women. You know, Nikki Cross coming back into the match with a flying crossbody. She's amazing with that crossbody. I can't believe she's not champion. Let's see. Kairi Sane does an insane elbow to both Nikki Cross and Peyton Royce. Gets a 2 count. But Ember Moon comes back with the Eclipse, the move that does end the match. You know, it's a protected finisher, the Eclipse, and gets the win by pinning Nikki Cross and becoming the new NXT champion. With it was a bit annoying at the end with Asuka coming into the ring and handing the title to Ember Moon. I can understand your frustrations, guys, with that happening, because it just only begs the question: why didn't she just do the whole passing of the torch?
Well, this is what I was saying
in their last match and whatnot. You know, in the last takeover.
I mean, that's what I was kind of like alluding to. Like, they could have done this on a house show, you know, on the pre-tape recording stuff. Obviously, unfortunately, I guess the problem with it on a pre-recorded show would have been like it would have got leaked way before, but
which happens.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, I don't know.
But no, I did actually like the work rate of the match itself. I did actually think it was actually a good match, despite all the kind of like issues that it has in terms of building a story to entice new watchers like yourself, Pete, and you know, whatnot. It still is a really good match in my eyes. So
I don't say it's not. I just don't think A, it was as good as the previous match, and B, just the storytelling I thought could have been better and different. But again, that's just one man's opinion in a sea of everything.
In a sea of everything. So
Kevin.
Yeah, so from my side, yeah, I really liked the match as well. Everyone got a decent pop. When Nikki Cross was the first one out, there was a really good pop for her. Kairi Sane's pirate princess gimmick is the most.
I like it.
It's the most Japanese gimmick
Absolutely,
I've seen on
it.
WWE in forever.
Really?
In forever. Well, the most "this is created in Japan" gimmick, you know, in that level of just bonkersness about the gimmick.
Being a pirate is completely Japanese bonkers.
The way
being
an
anime pirate, basically. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I
carrying around the small ship's wheel used to be.
There's a big difference between Kairi Sane's pirate and fucking the blatant rip off of Pirates of the Caribbean pirate that WWE was doing.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Well, I could definitely agree with that. Being that the what was it? One of the signs out in the crowd was heavily anime inspired. So yeah, I can understand
that whole level. But my point was because I want to see footage of when Vince was first introduced to that. I would say Yeah, it's just somebody trying to, a hunter having to explain over the course of, I don't know, several family meals what what this character is, because it wouldn't go down. So yeah, so Color is that, Nikki Cross is Cross, and Ember Moon is Ember Moon. Peyton Royce, I am in complete agreement with you, Turbo. I've got no idea what,
she's iconic.
What everyone's. So I gathered from what I saw before the match and in the match that basically she also was like, oh okay, so she's part of Discount Lay Cool. Oh okay, fine.
Like,
you're not making me care about you at all.
Everything I gathered from the promos and everything else is that she's iconic.
Yes,
that's it. That's all I got from her.
We need more people using the word. She's sponsored by Ubisoft. Excellent, great.
She's sponsored by Ubisoft. She's Australian. I got that. She's Australian and she's iconic.
She's Australian. She's iconic. She's taking up my time.
She needs a finisher. She needs a finisher, which is just called the Tower Climb. She has to go. She has to go on first every single time. She has to jerk the curtain every single time because it's the only way they can discover more of the arena to get more people in. So yeah, my only gripe about the commentary through the entirety of this pay-per-view is this particular match, and that's because I tell you what, Mauro. Come on, drinking game guys at home. Have a drink every time he puts some kind of space metaphor or analogy, or mentions space, or the moon, or the fact that it's in Houston, so or Space City. It's like how forced it gets in this match is really, really awful. The stars have aligned for Ember Moon in Space City, and my God, man, just take some pills or something.
And Matt Hardy was in the back just writing, he's like, oh, this is going to be good for my rebirth.
He's got his coat of battle now. He's got his coat of battle now from Senior Benjamin. He's been seen.
We can talk. We can talk about this later, okay?
But yes, we had the the tope suicida just to make Mauro's day. There was a load of chops from Sane in the corner on Ember Moon that was really bad. I mean, they were like
the only thing Kyrie was there for was that stupidly good elbow drop at the end.
The elbow's amazing.
Yeah, it's the best elbow amazing. In the business now.
What was also good was there was a sequence where there was a it was like a crossover in the range, came off the ropes. I can't remember who. I think it was Ember actually, to like leapfrogged over Kairi Sane, and she speared Peyton, and that was a solid hit. I mean, that looked like it caused damage. So that was very good.
It was Kairi Sane. Wait, what was it? Ember Moon, Leaping Frog, Kairi Sane spears Peyton Royce.
Going back to the elbow as well, I have a problem with the elbow in that I've just written here, isn't Peyton pinning Cross? because he's like, Cross is down on the ground and then they're like lays Peyton over. You're pinning her then. And the ref's looking at this. Ref's sitting next to her. Yes, I think he tried to like put like a hand under the shoulders and check, and it's like, well, she's not bloody moving.
That's one. I think that's one thing that the ref needs to do in that situation, in a fatal four-way match, where he needs to go double check the fourth person while 1, 2, and 3 are doing this spot.
Yeah,
so that way he doesn't know it's this
a way
stupid
out
lackadaisical
because
pin.
it's we've seen championships changed on this bollocks. And it's not like it was a hand. Like, no, you've lent the person over the top of the person. That's a pin. But I absolutely fell in love with Nikki Cross's offense for that entire bit.
Good.
Her style of this really ragged and desperate style, clawing. Everything is like an absolute rush and an emergency. To get from one to the other, it's very sort of violent and ragged. I love that. It was something different, and it stood out a mile, and I really liked it. As a result of all that going on, she almost got the victory because Sane almost missed her cue to come in and stop the pin. And it was only because the referee did a sort of like on the free coming down that they actually made it. So there was it almost all fell apart really badly because of that mistime. But other than that, we knew who was going to win. That person won. It was a good match. It was. Everyone had their chance to shine, more or less. And I'm interested in seeing where they go from here and with whom, because it wasn't a case of this person has it wasn't a case of this person has comprehensively beaten everybody, and everyone still looks kind of strong and in a position where they can still say, hey, I should deserve to actually challenge Ember for the Moon for the title going forward.
Ember for the Moon.
Ember.
I challenge you for the Moon.
Ember for the Moon, and yes,
for the Moon
and other things, for the Moon and the stars, Space City. Yeah, no, really, I was really pleased with that. When I liked that they at least gave her a slight rub with Asuka coming in to hand over the title. It made it look classy. It was the best of a bad situation. Although at the time I have written, I keep wishing that Asuka suddenly immediately turned heel, grabbed the belt and took it back. Like, it's mine, you didn't win it off me, and then just takes it back to the main roster and just keeps carrying it around, and no one is able to then get it off her. And they have to change the belt yet again. Asuka keeps going around just dragging around the NXT belt. But yeah, otherwise, and then we went from that to talk about the actual WarGames match coming up. And did you know you can buy toys? Buy toys, parents.
That was the worst fucking thing.
Buy toys. Santa will hate you.
It was more the fact that it looked nothing like the ring or the cage, and they were like, and you could do everything that you've seen on WarGames tonight.
Well, that advertisement had nothing to do with WarGames. They basically had a deal with Mattel. Mattel said, "Hey, your success with the shark cage match at that one takeover. Yeah, we need you to do more promotion for us and promote our latest piece of tat. Okay, just do that for us. Okay, just do it for this NXT takeover show. It's like, we don't have a match to relate to this thing. That's okay. It's okay. Just do it. Just show it. You know how to shell. Just go.
Do all the things you see at WarGames, except WarGames. For that, you'll need to buy another ring. But don't worry.
Buy two of these.
Have more children, and then you can buy one each a ring. And then they can play together, and then it's like a family. Look, WWE and Mattel are buying you happiness.
You want them to play with each other's ring? Kevin, no. A family picture. A family picture. So we move from let me have a look at my list here. We moved from three matches in a row with completely broadcasted winners to a match without a broadcasted winner, in my opinion. Wow. Now, I like Drew McIntyre. I liked him when he came back and was on the British circuit a fair bit, and back on the indie scene after he was let go. I was expecting him to win this match. I wasn't expecting him to lose, because you could say that the loss was down to the interference in this match, but the interference did nothing, because he kicked out with the big interference, and all the interference seemed to have done to cause the victory was help Andrade's stamina. Like, he would have lost the pinfall had the foot, in a botched way, not been put on the rope. But I think that's about the only real thing that helped win the match, I think. You know? Because the fuck up was essentially on Drew's part at the end there.
Yeah. Well, let's...
Yeah, I wasn't that into this match, unfortunately. So, well, like, it really didn't hold my attention too much. So, I mean, I watched the opening, I watched, like, the couple of, obviously... I watched it all, but, like, I don't know. I think it could have done with being about 4 minutes shorter and finished around about 10 to 11 minute mark. But that's just me. I thought it was a really dull match, this one.
Well, for myself, when I was watching NXT TakeOver live, I actually fell asleep halfway through this match. So when I woke up to what happened in the end, I was gobsmacked. So it was really annoying how to see how this all turned out. And yeah, I was on the same boat as you, Pete. I was looking at this match on paper, and I was like, nah, this is not gonna be the program going forward. Drew's gotta win this match. He's gotta win it, no problem. And then I'm kind of like seeing this result, and it's like, Jesus Christ. And then of course what happened afterwards, and we'll get to it. I am not one happy Scotsman. Trust me that. But anyway, going into the match, Andrade Cien Almas is the lost member of Nation of Domination. That's essentially what I see every time he does that. It's just every time. And then for some reason during Drew McIntyre's entrance, like, Mauro Ronaldo didn't do enough shilling as is now he's shilling Nintendo products. It's like he makes a reference to Super Mario Odyssey. It's like, Mauro, Nintendo doesn't need your help. It's selling gangbusters. It's like, we don't need your help. They don't need your help. Jeez.
He was just auditioning for a role in Up, Down, Down. All right.
Anywho, but going into the match itself, like, Drew McIntyre was in control from the start. Then CN was then working on what was it? Drew McIntyre's arm, which I think it was the arm that was going to be affected at the end of the match, which is ironic twist of fate, I shall say. Not the literal move twist of fate, I mean, like, actual fate. But going into late into the match, obviously CN was able to throw Drew into the post with his shoulder and whatnot, putting Drew in some arm submissions, working on the arm, obviously working out well with the psychology on that. But then Drew McIntyre coming back, doing a there was a really good spot between Drew and CN where Drew McIntyre tried to do a power slam. It was reversed. Then Drew reversed it again and did it into I think it goes into a throwing suplex, which, but man, when he's strong, and Drew can throw like nothing. It's like it's almost like Braun Strowman's kind of like throws, throwing, people across halfway, all the way across the ring and whatnot. But this is Drew McIntyre we're talking about. This is someone who's way more linear. Drew McIntyre hitting the Celtic Cross for a 2 count. That was really good. Cien Almas doing an inverted DDT. Very impressive. He also tries a Hurricanrana, but is reversed. With Drew McIntyre doing sugar. I can't remember this anagram. I can't remember my own anagrams. ABS.
All bullshittery.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Aerial bomb.
I don't know. Just seeing a couple other things here. Some of them moves.
Sausage.
Can I finish? What was it? My handwriting is getting a little messy. A future shock DDT from Drew McIntyre for a 2 count. That was good. Cien doing some double knees spots. One double. Before that, Cien does the Del Rio stomp. What did we like? I hated when Del Rio did it. Cien, don't make me hurt you.
They were giving the Del Rio chance throughout the match as well.
But don't feed the trolls, and don't feed them by doing shitty moves like that.
I must interrupt you, John. Did you see what happened to him in his match with Johnny Impact?
Oh, Del Rio. Oh
yes.
No, I haven't.
Did you see what happened? Okay, so they had this. I know I'm talking about Impact, but they had a grudge match between the two of them, and Del Rio set up the steel steps on their side on top of Johnny Impact, our good friend, and he did the double stump off of the apron and onto the stairs and into his adversary. At which point the stairs, then sort of fell to the side and fell. So as they would be normally upright. Of course, where has Del Rio got to go really, apart from down? And he basically stomped on the stairs. The stairs fell sideways. He's still going sideways in midair, and he basically lands back first on the stairs from the apron and messes himself up. It's just hilarious. He like falls off the stairs and ends up like on them. Check it out. The gifs all over Twitter. It's
that's why that move is shit.
Yeah.
So Cien, don't stop doing that. Okay, I know you and Alberto was friends in WWE, but trust me, don't imitate his moves. It's not worth it.
Imitating art.
Sugar. I'm lost my place now. So, what was it? Who was her name again? Savine. Whatever.
Zelina Vega.
Selena Vega. There we go. She does a couple of interruption spots, like a face planted Hurricanrana, like that hit hard, obviously. But of course, all that for a 2 count. Drew McIntyre with the Claymore gets a 2 count, but tries to go for it again, gets hung up on the ropes, and then we lead up to the finish of the match, which was out of nowhere, and of course, the devastation that would happen afterwards. Cien goes for a top rope DDT, kind of like a draping DDT that Orton does, but this time Drew's on the top rope. He's holding his left arm on the rope, which is the arm that was being worked on in the match as well, and he holds on for too long. I don't know why he was holding on in the first place, and when he dropped, it obviously tore the ligament, pulled it out of the shoulder, and
so that would explain why he was holding it at the end of the thing. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
And when that was shown, when he was in pain, and they had the doctor in there and everything, even though the ref didn't do the universal X sign and whatnot, it was clear by Drew's own face, because he's been in this position before where he's hurt himself in a bad way, and he knows it, and he is really pissed off. You saw it in his face, and that was real. But yeah, seeing that
after the match, like on
not after the match, but it was the week later, on I think that taping's NXT, where they had backstage footage of Drew getting analyzed and whatnot, and then the following week they confirmed with Drew's Twitter post on Twitter, that he is out for. They didn't give a time frame. They didn't say how long he was out for, but many people are speculating he's out for at least until the summer of next year, which is long.
6 months.
So was this a proper finish, or was it Drew knew he hurt himself? So
I think it was supposed to be. Now, many conflicting arguments on this finish, saying that CN was supposed to win this match and he was supposed to be champion. I highly doubt that. I think they might have changed it while mid the match. I don't know, but I didn't feel like that was the case, because I've seen CN.
The promo video made it seem like that this was going to build up into like a 50-50 booking scenario. Like McIntyre would walk away with the first win. CN would get a second win by dastardly means, but he wouldn't win the belt. And then the third match should be the thing where CN would walk away with the belt. That's what that booking felt like it was leading up to.
Yeah. But of course, this is NXT we're talking about, and we can't really do that. You know, we can't space that too long between NXT live shows. So
yeah, you could do the second match on a taping.
You can't really tell with this, and Drew's a sort of person that if he was aware that he was as badly injured as he thought, that he might well have called an audible and said, look, this is, I've done, my arm's messed up, let's do this or whatever. But let's
go home.
Yeah, let's go home. It felt out of place with the finish. I agree. It feels out of place based on where they were going, or at least where it was inferred they were going. It seems odd to put the belt on him in that way. Also, the ending felt odd after the match, because the celebration just went on for ages, so it felt like they were filling up some time.
Oh yeah, they were filling.
So I think they did go home early, but it is what it is, and like I said, I think that the doctors were a bit afraid to get near Drew, I think, at one point at the end, because he was so upset. But yeah, it sucks. All ends up really.
But yeah, you got anything else to add on the match, Kev?
I have absolutely nothing to add to that. Apart from saying that I fell in your camp a little bit there, Pete, in that it really didn't do that much for me as a match.
No.
For whatever reason, but it struggled to keep my attention, and I can't really put a finger on why.
Just not very investing, I guess. Maybe too slow in places, but I guess that's a firm decision to move on to the WarGames match that they've been hyping all bloody night. The undisputed era of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly.
Yep.
Say it,
Authors of Pain.
Pete, say it right.
Oh wait, yeah, aye.
Say it right, Pete.
Sorry, Bobby
Adam
Fish,
Cole.
Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole, baby.
Thank you.
No, well, you still kind of didn't get it right. It's Adam Cole, baby.
Thank you.
There we go.
Versus the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong, or Roddy Strong, as they decided to.
Yeah, they kept
and
calling
Sanity.
him Roddy Strong.
Yeah. Alexander Wolf, Eric Young, and Big Damo, because I'm not going to call him Killian Dane. It's Big Damo.
Big Damo.
Damo. It was a fun match. A couple of really big spots. I can't remember which one member of Sanity it was that was bleeding.
That was Wolf.
Yeah,
Wolf.
Wolf.
Yeah. That was a mental cut. That was
Nasty.
It was
Yeah,
nasty, but wow.
You probably didn't see it that often, but the amount of blood that was on the table that he was through was quite a lot. Quite a lot of blood on there.
There was a point towards the end of the match where he got up and staggered around, and I wasn't sure if that was him or the blood loss. And I was just like, a couple of really dangerous spots as well. A lot of the cross-ring stuff looked very dangerous at times, with people getting caught, like touching that top rope and almost looking like they were going to get caught up. Otherwise, like, it was an opportunity to do a lot of spots. I thought was pretty good. That suplex off the top of the cage, like, oh my god! I'm at the last minute. They're not actually going to do a suplex, and then at the last minute they cut back and you see everybody's there, and I'm like, woo! Someone could have died. It's like, especially with the crowd chanting, "Please don't die."
Yes, we had a "Please don't die" chant in WWE, which we've not had for a very long time.
Well, 2 years. Roughly 2 years.
But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I was fully expecting more shenanigans to be like Authors of Pain kick open the door and throw somebody out so that their team's automatically disqualified.
Yes.
I don't understand. Like, I understand you'd have that rule to stop people leaving the cage to win or to, like, avoid people, but if you're gonna have that rule in place, make use of it.
That was like, exactly what I thought was going to happen. There is nothing to stop somebody just hurling somebody out of the cage, and they've escaped. Congratulations, they've escaped. Oh wait, they're disqualified, but for being thrown out of the cage. Also, what was up with the rule list they put at the very beginning? They just made it sound like the most complicated match in the world. This whole list of rules that they put up.
Well, I've got the rules here, let's go over it for you.
The rules don't seem complicated; they seem convoluted.
Yeah, it just
like the whole point. Like, I don't understand the point of the shark cages if they're going to be that far away from the ring. Like, when the minute they now, bear in mind, I've never seen a WarGames match on any old pay-per-view before. Hearing that Arn Anderson's done 17 of these bloody things makes you feel like, what?
18.
Really?
Even more. 18.
I was like, the minute they said it was going to be like shark cages, I was like, oh, okay. So essentially, it's like an elimination chamber. Essentially, like, it's a big cage with people locked in things until time runs out. I assume that's where the elimination chamber is built off of.
Kind of.
Without
maybe.
Obviously eliminations. I don't know. I don't get it. But I was just like, okay. So one member of each team starts. Cool. Now, the beginning of that match was some of the best triple threat stuff I've ever seen. Like, okay, well, they'll try and do the beginning bit where everybody jumps on one person, but then there's they're grappling, and instead of somebody else coming in and punching, the other guy gets kicked. And I'm like, this is some of the best stuff I've seen. Now, whether it's due to the fucking cages there in the way to stop people getting out of the way, it just seemed like some of the best triple threat stuff I'd seen for like a long time.
You had some very talented wrestlers in there as well, which is what made it very seasoned professionals around there. I mean, just Eric Young on his own, for God's sake. I mean, there's lots going on. You mentioned the shark cages. The first thing I wrote about the shark cages was shark cages, and then Authors of Pain came out and started shoving the cage that Sanity were in, and I was like, wait, you could move those cages, push them over onto the door. They can't get out. They're stuck in the shark cage. There's no way for them to get out after that. You immediately have a situation where those cannot win anymore. They just can't. It was all very strange. And speaking of Authors of Pain coming out, I'm very sad that Paul Ellering doesn't come out with a copy of the Wall Street Journal. I know WWE are desperately trying to cut costs, but buy the man a copy of the Wall Street Journal. Just him not holding it seems very wrong to me. He needs to be waving it around and bashing people in the head with it.
Yeah, it's better than that stupid dummy he was holding that one time.
Oh, Rocco.
But yeah, no. As a match, it was very good. Some really good spots. A lot of dangerous stuff. I think that at the end of the match, I looked at it and I was like, this is a testing ground to see if they can pull it off in a mainstream one, because I think the biggest problem with mainstream stuff is having pay-per-views titled around specific match types. Is making it lose its flavour, and they need to add some more variety to stuff. So they're testing the waters for the main roster to see if they can actually move this over. Is what I think they're going to do. So I enjoyed it. Mr. John, with your analysis of Doom on this 40-minute match.
Yeah, this was the longest match of the night, and for good reason, because there was a lot of good stuff. Like both of you were talking about at the start of the match with Eric Young, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole Bay. All three of them working well in that first 5 minutes of that match. They were brilliant cohesion right there. After that first 5 minutes, we had the rest of Undisputed Era to go into the ring and take control. After they did some really good triple forearm kind of like spots with Eric Young and Roderick Strong, where they're kind of like, you know, sandwiched between the ropes and the cage, and each one of the era doing nice forearm shots. Then Office of Pain hit the ring after the 3-minute mark, or 3-minute time limit timer expired. What was it? They did this amazing spot where they had two people in the Tree of Woe, and then they had another two people in their hands, and they did Death Valley drivers into the people in the Tree of Woe.
Nice. That
was brilliant. Then after the next 3 minutes, Sanity made their way, so it's now the match beyond. So everyone's now going for pins and submissions. They were smart enough to have two referees in the match, one in each ring, to make sure if anyone made a pinfall or submission attempt, they would go for it and whatnot. What was it?
One was Kevin's favourite orange lighthouse.
I was gonna say one of them was indeed a lighthouse. So that explains why the lighting was so much better afterwards.
He was brightening up the cage inside. Sanity, when they were coming into the match, they were obviously that of Anarchy. They were putting in chairs, tables, kendo sticks, chains, the whole kit and caboodle.
Hardcore, bro.
Yeah, it was all hardcore, baby. Killian Demo. He smart enough to lock the cage and swallow the key to said lock. Nice spot there. It's like, they were just rough. Like Killian Dane was like really good, you know, really strong. There was a spot that Demo did to start off with, or like he did this spot, but also off camera, Razor did the exact same spot.
Yeah,
it was like he had who is it? It's like I forgot who he had. He had Adam Cole on top of Bobby Fish, and using the body of. Wait, no, he does. He does something to. Oh shit! I don't know what MD is. I've forgotten what MD means.
Mass
but he does...
Driver. Mega Drive.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Mega Driver. It's like he does a move to Adam Cole and Bobby Fish, onto Bobby Fish, and I was like, holy shit. Then afterwards he does he did a fallaway slam and a Samoan drop combo, which Razor did the exact same way off camera. And everyone else, obviously the crowd saw that, but obviously we didn't see that. But it was implied, obviously, because you know that happened. And then Damo and Razor go at it. Razor does gives Damo a power slam for a 2 count. What was it? Undisputed Era. They get back into the match. They do this triple attack suplex combination called the chasing the dragon. That was amazing. Real good triple teamwork. I'm surprised the New Day don't do something like that. You know, it's like it's nice.
It's nice as well because it's paying a little homage also to the fact that Redragon and the stuff,
yeah, they're indie
and the stuff with Bullet Club and the triple super kicks with the Young Bucks, with the boys,
the boys. Excuse me. What was it? Wolf got hit hard by Kyle O'Reilly with a move that was brutal. I can't remember. I think it was like a kick or kendo shot or whatever. Kyle O'Reilly puts Wolf into Armageddon, a submission with and he was using the chain, just wrapping him out. Yeah. It's like, whoa, jeez. It's like I'm surprised he got away with that.
That would have looked a little bit more interesting if he wasn't fucking around with the chain for so long.
It kind of lost all emphasis because it was like, oh, wrap around the head, wrap around the eyes, and it just wrap it around nothing in the end. It was just dangling there.
I'm just gonna wrap this around your arm.
Just make a new accessory out.
How do you like this? How do you like this as a new tattoo?
What was it? Bobby Fish stops. Eric Young breaks up the submission with an elbow drop. He was like just out of nowhere, it was really good. And then Bobby Fish stops Eric Young with Eric Young's pinfall with a moonsault, which was awesome. Officer Payne doing a super collider to Undisputed Era with Killian Dane in the middle, and this is like Damo in the middle of between the two rings, you know, and they just do a collider and boom. Oof, that was good. Roderick Strong going to Backbreak City with multiple backbreakers. Also giving Kyle O'Reilly an angle slam for a 2 count. What was it? Oh my God, the 8-man Tower of Doom spot, where it was like AOP and all that, getting power bomb suplex and all that, and Adam Cole, baby, just in the middle, as the survivor, just as that, he's like the surviving the aftermath of that. It was amazing. Adam Cole getting hung up by AOP again. It's like he climbs up to the top of the cage. AOP gets taken out one through the tables that they set up at the end of the ring, which obviously leads to the rule: if you set up a table, you're going through it. So there you go. But of course that would lead to what was it? Eric Young does an amazing neck breaker to the other member of AOP from that rope spot. It was like, oof. Damo with a coast to coast and shouting to
sickening to watch.
And then he shouts to Adam Cole. It's like, "I'm gonna kill him," and it's like, damn right he did. he almost killed him. And of course,
I hope Damo does that on a regular occasion. Like,
I was gonna say, it's doing better. It's a lot better than how Shane does it anymore. And so
is
Damo.
the NXT ring smaller than an average WWE ring?
No, it's the same size.
Standard.
It's the same size.
That's mental, because I mean, Damo looked like he had no problem doing that. Whereas Shane,
no. He is that impressive. I'm just ashamed that it's just a shame that Damo hasn't been given that much
ring
time. Ring time. Yeah. There's a loud Adam Cole baby spot from the crowd there when he's on top of the ring. Roderick Strong sees him, goes after him, and leads to the superplex spot that you were talking about, and the crowd saying, "Please don't die."
What was it called? The Everest superplex?
Or avalanche suplex.
I'm quite sure.
Specifically called it like an Everest one because it was the highest it could possibly be.
The highest point. Okay, fair enough. I just called it a superplex. Or super duper plex, I should probably call it next. What was it? AOP hitting Killian Dane with a side Russian leg sweep and clothesline combo called the Last Chapter. There. And then gotta clear my throat for this one. Undisputed Era doing elimination to AOP.
What?
My throat's not that good to do.
I think you can get arrested for that, can't you?
Yeah.
It's like I think I might get sued by Styles, Joey Styles. So he does double move. Oh jeez, there's so many bloody good spots.
Ruin it all. Kevin's gonna have nothing to talk about.
Oh, I've got stuff to talk about.
Oh, he probably will. What was it? Eric Young hitting Roderick Strong with a wheelbarrow suplex onto the cage. That was beautiful. Adam Cole hits Eric Young with a kendo stick, and then Eric Young tries to counter back with a chair, but he's holding it up, and then Adam Cole hits him with the head with Shining Wizard, and Adam Cole gets the win for the first ever WarGames to take place in over 20 years.
See, the ending was a little bit weird to me. I was expecting the chair to go into Cole's face rather it be the other way, like used offensively in a defensive position. But being that Eric Young was holding it like that, and he wasn't actually on his feet to make a swing or whatever. Oh, by the way, I totally missed one spot. I hope Kevin talks about it later. But
But no, no, I'll see whether or not he'll talk about it. But yeah, there was one spot with a chair. I think it was with Wolf. So, you know, that might be something talking. But yeah, at the end, everyone's dead. Undisputed Era. You know, they're the last, or mostly Adam Cole is like the last man standing, essentially. You know, standing tall in WarGames, and it goes to show you.
Chair and sat down in the ring. That was funny.
Yes, yeah, they deserve that rest. But yeah, it definitely showed that this was a shock to the system, and the Undisputed Era has begun. So, so there you go. That's my, and I love that match.
I do suppose it was their first proper PPV match, and I should have thought that they would.
It was
actually. Yeah. That would make sense.
To me, it was pretty telegraphed they were winning, and it was pretty telegraphed that Adam Cole was going to get the pin. So from my point of view, going back, the reason why I was making a big fuss about the rules was to quote the late great Bobby Heenan. It's war. Okay? Who gives a damn? It's war. Fuck the rules. It's war. and somebody was smart about that. And we'll get to that. There was lots of great stuff going in. I mean, the match, we had the triple threat, and then the Undisputed Era guys came in as the first tag team, and they undid the cage. I quite like the fact that they had to pull in. Actually, if you looked, they had to pull in from the archivist all the shark cages they have, because if you looked at the shark cages, they were all different. They're all completely different shark cages from different things with different connectors on the top, but it was all different shapes and sizes. It was kind of weird. But so they came in, and it kind of was a bit when it was the Undisputed Era versus Young and Strong. Then we had Authors of Pain come in. Now, a year ago, okay, when they first made their mark in NXT, and they came in with Paul Ellering, and no one remembered who Paul Ellering was, and I was sad. They were green as fuck, and they were not very good at all. Those guys have come along leaps and bounds, and they are exactly what is written on. They are really, really strong men who will beat the crap out of you. And a great example of this was mentioned there was a wheelbarrow suplex into the cage. Before that, right at the beginning, there was a wheelbarrow suplex that one of the Authors of Pain did, I believe. And there was a bit of pepper on that. That was there was some snap. And in that whoever it was who it was on hit the mat, and it sounded like their neck had gone. It was very loud and devastating. Speaking of using that power, when they were just hurling people left, right, and centre around, there was a veal throw from the Authors of Pain. It just hurled. So I don't remember who it was. They left that time zone, I know for a fact, because they were about halfway in the left-hand ring, and they just veal throw somebody right over out of that ring, over both sets of ropes and into the next ring.
I think it was Adam Cole.
It was probably Adam Cole. It was somebody from the Undisputed Era, certainly. So I'd imagine it was Adam Cole.
I think it was It was first Eric Young, then Roderick Strong, then Adam Cole. They did it 3 times.
It wasn't Roderick Strong because they were on his side. They held Roderick Strong in the end. They used Roderick Strong. They used their own teammate as a weapon, which was oddly effective. But even then, it was a case of we don't care. It was very good. I did mark out for them specifically calling that, as Turbo mentioned earlier, them calling it as, and now we're on to the match beyond. Ooh. That was nice. Nice bit of little history and just a thing to remember that there is the specific stages of the match. Then, there was a slight cock up on the lights actually when the second team was announced. I don't know if anyone saw that. Because it was initially the lights fell onto Sanity,
but then they quickly switched to.
And it was like, no, we meant these ones who were already unlocking. Sanity came in, and of all the teams to make sense of war, it's oddly appropriate that Insanity is the ones who took the whole idea of it. It's fucking war! So Wolf comes in, is smart, just gets out. I was wondering, why is he getting in with his jacket on still? And then it was like, whoop, up the sleeve, he's got a nightstick, and he's going to beat your brains out with it.
So good.
That was so... Meanwhile, Killian Dane just walking around the outside. What's he doing? He's taking his time. What's he going? Oh, he's going under the ring. He's getting a couple of chairs and putting those in the ring because it's war. Okay, you can do whatever you want. He gets the ring. There's some kendo sticks and there's a load of trash cans, which the referees are hopeless in getting rid of once they were used. They kept putting them over the top rope. And once the trash cans were used, put them over the top rope because that's them out of the ring. Except, there's a massive cage around the rings. You may not have noticed. So, yeah, everyone goes through all the weapons. The crowd chant their asses off for tables. And after a moment of hesitation, Dave just looks at them and just goes, yeah, sod it. Let's go get them. Biggest pop of the night was for the fact that he actually got tables out of the ring and put those in. Eventually, Dane gets in the ring and proceeds to just dismantle everybody for the best part of 6 minutes.
Now, before he did that, I just want to point out a spot with, and I said it was Wolf, but it's actually Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly had a chair, and he did a chair spot where he hit the top rope and he hit his head. That's the first time anyone's taken a headshot in WWE since the ban. Holy shit!
No, that's it. That's him. That's him fined $5,000, and he's going to be sent down to NXT. Oh wait,
he's already in NXT.
He's going to evolve. He's sent down there.
No, he's going back to the Performance Center.
He's making the tea. There's yeah. So he gets a super pop for that. Dane comes in, old Damo. He comes in and just runs roughshod over just everybody for the best part of 6 minutes. Literally just goes in, but he manhandles both Authors of Pain around. He's shoving everybody and kicking everybody and just taking people inside out, including a great spot where there's somebody in the corner, there's somebody on the ground, and he does a drop kick into the corner into a senton on the other guy, which was really good.
Was an amazing spot.
Really good. Continued his path of destruction from one ring to the other. Adam Cole picks up a kendo stick to defend himself. This was a bad move. This was a bad move, and he knew. And what I love about his facial expression was he knew it was a bad move. You could see his face. He knew this was a bad move. What he was going to do, he did it anyway, and then he was like, "I was right. This was a bad. This whole idea was bad." And then he was murdered by him. After which, and what you noted down and couldn't identify or remember, John, I think it was Fish who came over and made the mistake of again trying to hit Killian Dane, and Dane was less than impressed by this, and instead, as he was standing over Adam Cole at the time, picked up I'm going to say it was Fish. It might not have been. And proceeded to do a sit-down Michinoku driver.
That's it.
On him.
Michinoku driver. That's what it was.
He says sit-down Michinoku driver into Adam Cole.
Well, I think it was the other way around. I think he had Adam. He put Adam Cole onto Bobby Fish. So I think that's why I got
one of
here.
the others, but it was just ooh.
But yeah, I said holy shit.
Yeah.
For a 2 count.
Yeah, for a 2 count. It was just like I say, you're just walking around, pacing around, just idly dismantling everybody. The double fall away slam Samoan drop spot with him and Razor staring across the 2 rings and doing it at the same time was really awesome. It's such a shame they didn't give Razor the credit really on the television for that, because the fact that it was the 2, because it made it more then, because you had the 2 powerhouses like squaring off and saying, hey, this is what I can do, this is what I can do, you know, anything you can do, I can do better.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yes. Dane was a bit annoyed after that, so he just casually beheaded Adam Cole with a clothesline. He just got up. Adam Cole was staggering around and he went like, fuck you, and just turned him inside out. We had the use of the chain and the slice of the table. And the last big note I've written down is Dane goes coast to coast. Dane now greatest wrestler in WWE. Sorry, Shane. So he's the greatest wrestler of all time now. I'm sorry, he's the most powerful wrestler in the entirety of WWE, because he just outdid Shane with his own move.
Indeed.
I also thought the finish.
That's probably the reason why we didn't see a coast to coast from Shane, even though that would have gotten him disqualified or whatever. But
I'm there's enough time left in the year for us to have a third Hell in a Cell match for Shane to jump into a table for.
He might just do that. He's probably doing it now, just in his own personal time.
It's how he puts his kids to bed. They just move out the way.
Yeah.
Puts himself to bed. Anyway, yeah, I think unless you got any last moves, that was WarGames. Marks out of 5, guys?
5?
10. What am I saying? 10. There was 5 matches. Marks out of 10.
I am going to go with a solid 8. I definitely agree that the Lars Sullivan KO match or Ono match was but I still thought it was very good, and the NXT title match obviously had some good spots, but I think that wasn't as good as I wasn't as invested. But for the rest of the card, I thought was solid. I thought it was absolutely amazing, so that's why I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10.
Kev?
I am agreeing with John. I am going to give that an 8 out of 10. If I had a dream card for the best matches of the last year, I would certainly have Black versus the Velveteen Dream on that card. It was a fantastic match.
Well, you better get
any
WWE calling you, and if they're asking for best matches of 2017 NXT, make the call. Put that on the DVD.
We'll put that on there with the Usos and New Day, and be good. Everything else was pretty solid. There wasn't really there wasn't really a bad match. The only odd one was, like I say, the championship match, which for some reason just didn't grab me. But otherwise, it was a well produced and very entertaining pay-per-view for 2.5 hours, and didn't murder me in the process. It was great.
So I'm going to buck the trend once again and give it a solid 7.
All right.
5 matches, 2 points to 3 of the matches, 1 point to the championship match, and nil point to that first match, which actually Wikipedia tells me had a time of 5 minutes and 14 seconds. It felt a lot longer than 5 minutes, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, it was okay as the first NXT pay-per-view. Not brilliant for the first one. Again, I'd have to watch more NXT to actually get into it, but time is, unfortunately, at this point of the year, it's very hard to come by free time. So I think we did well with what we did. And I hope everybody who has watched us on YouTube or listened to us on iTunes have enjoyed our 2 hours odd rambling of another pay-per-view. We shall return next time for... What's next?
Clash of Champions.
Oh, sorry, as Booker called it, Clash of the Champions. Clash of Champions, yes, that is soon. Not soon enough. A couple of weeks away. We've got a bit of a break. Mr. John Turbo Finley, if they're looking for you on the social media, where can they find your delectable self?
Well, they can easily find me on Twitter at TurboXLR, as well as catching my live Let's Play channel, which is Turbo Drive Live Let's Plays, on Twitch, twitch.tv/TurboDrive Live.
Superb. Mr. Kevin, the Kevin Eva, where can they find you and all your magical boss madness on the social media?
Oh, Dave, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at twitter.com/TheKevinEva.
No.
As was previously inferred by my good friend Pete here. Also, you can follow Last Minute Continue as an actual channel, which is at Last Min Continue. Just truncated for ease. Also, youtube.com, you can find us on there with Last Minute Continue. Same with Twitch, where we've got all sorts of lovely live streams and things going on. Mr. Titans Creed, Pete Nethercutt, Esquire, man of 1,000 holds, most of them his own. Most of them his own.
Perpetual exhaustion is what I'm currently known as.
Yes.
I can be found on the Twitter sphere and at Titans Creed. You can follow my personal gaming YouTube channel on at Gaming Phoenix. You can find me on the YouTubes at youtube.com/user/Project Phoenix. And yes, I'm sure Kevin has worked his magic and it's on the screen
it's
for you.
It's already there. You just can't
there will
see
be,
it yet.
So,
no.
have you actually capitalized my my Twitter handle this time, Kev?
No.
No capitalization. No,
I'm not bothered. No.
All links to previous episodes, I'm sure, will be in the end card, as well as in the links in the description below to everything we've talked about, as well as the iTunes, where you can subscribe and listen to us, John, talk to you for 2 hours about wrestling analysis. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, we have been Team Bearded and Dangerous, and we will see you next time.
Remember, don't put on as much spray tan as you are. Important.
Lighthouse.
Take care, people. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.